Hi, welcome back to Country Basket Weaving. I'm your hostess, Sandy Atkinson. Today we're going to be working on our Americana storage basket. Originally it was in a basket for magazines, but of course you could use it for anything to store in. The material and cut pattern that you need for today, you're going to need number 4 round reed in natural color, cut 56 pieces at 28 inches. Also cut 112 pieces at 11 inches. You're going to need number 2 round reed, left natural. You're going to need 3/16 flat, again left natural, a 1/4 inch flat dyed navy, a 1/2 inch flat dyed bright red, 1/4 inch flat dyed bright red, and 1/2 inch flat dyed navy. You're also going to need a wood base, and this wood base has been cut 12 1/4, pardon me, by 12 1/4. It has 56 holes drilled around it, about 1/4 inch from the base or from the edge here, and space them evenly around it. This I painted 2 coats of a navy blue both sides, and then I put a finish coat on it of an acrylic water-based finish on it. I did the very same thing to my 2-inch wood ball. You're going to need 4 of these, and I painted these bright red and finished them with an acrylic water-based finish on them also. You're also going to need a 1.5 inch drywall nail to insert them into the base here. To get started now, I've kind of done the prep work to get started. You're going to insert your pieces into your board. Now you may have to take an awl and open up the hole a little bit. Just stick your awl in there and open it up. And then you're going to take your piece and insert it down 5 inches. 4.5 to 5 inches should be fine. And we're going to do on the bottom here just a basic 2-step braid. And for time's sake, and because we've done this pattern before, I have started it. You're going to go behind one and out, all the way around, behind one and out. Work around your corners. When you come to the end, you're going to have one that does not have a piece inserted into it. Lift it up. This piece is going to come back in here from the back and insert to the front. Now, to finish the braid, again, I've already started it. You're going to pick up the one in front of it, and it inserts right down inside there. I'm going to quickly do the remainder of this braid. When you're going to come around to your ball feet here, you're going to have to work around them. Push them in there. I'm almost finished here. Be real careful when you're bending these too, because mine happen to be real wet here, which really helps, but if they're not, they're going to crack and break on you. And I'm kind of bending them around my finger so they won't break in there. That kind of helps them. Make sure you soak this for a good 10 or 15 minutes before you work on this. Try not to get your wood base after it's been painted too wet. Okay, my last piece here is going to come right to the one in front of it, loosen it just a little, and it slides under both pieces there. Then you can take your scissors, as I've done here, and just do the trim work, but you can do that later. As we set it up, we're going to first weave 3 rows of triple twine. And triple twine is taking 3 lengths of your number 2 round reed, insert them in 3 consecutive slots in here between your weavers. Taking the one on the left, it's going to go over 2 and behind the 3rd. Again, this is my one on the left. In front of 2, behind the 3rd. Always the same pattern. In front of 2, behind the 3rd. And I want you to work this pattern for 3 rows. And I'm going to switch real quick here because we need to come to another base. And I've done my 3 rows on this base. Now, I'm going to talk you through a lot of this one because there's a lot of steps on it and we don't have time to do them all. So I've got my 3 rows here, and then I've taken 1/2 inch flat, dyed the bright red, and I've done 3 rows, just a basic over-under pattern all the way around. Remember to start and stop in different spots on your basket. Now you're taking your 11-inch pieces. I'm going to re-wet mine, they're a little dry. And you're going to insert the 11-inch pieces next to the existing spoke. And I use my knitting needle to open up that hole. One piece is going on the left side. Pull out my needle. Try to have that butt up right to the base, and you can push it right down in there. And I'm going to insert the second piece on the right side. The reason I did this is to make sure that this basket would stay sturdy. This is going to give you good sturdy sides on it because we've reinforced those spokes. I have one on each side. Then I went ahead and I triple twined again 3 more rows. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you again for time's sake. After I did my triple twine of the 3 rows, I did 5 rows of just your basic basket weave in the navy blue of the 1/4 inch. Then I did 2 rows of the 3/16 left natural. From there, we are going to learn a new weave. It's called a diamond weave. It's really pretty. It looks like the cross stitching that is so popular today. I kind of look at it and think it's a cross stitch. We're going to take the 1/2 inch flat reed that's red, get a nice end on it. Make sure you have your right side facing out. And I'm going to come in here and weave this one opposite. And I'm going to start it 4 over, so I've woven 4 spokes here. It is kind of hard to work with all this, but it just takes time. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. Come in here. I'm going to start this one 3 spokes over, and I'm going to insert my 2 ends of my number 2 round, just like that. I'm crossing them with on top of my 3 natural spokes here. I'm crossing them on top, and I'm pulling out with my thumb my red one, my red flat piece here, and bringing these behind. This is a little technical, but we'll get through it here. Now bring your red piece back over in front of the spoke. Bring your 2 pieces, one on top and one on the bottom, coming from the back. Now I'm going to cross these again, and I'm going to weave this one behind, and now cross these again. Here we go. And they go behind, so I can take them behind the next set of spokes, and I'm bringing them forward, one on top, one on the bottom, and I'm weaving the red one. Keep weaving this pattern like you've been doing, crossing your natural ones in front to get your diamond pattern. Now, because the ending of it's a little bit tricky, I'm going to show you. We're going to come up here, and I want to show you, kind of give you an idea how we're going to do this. If I was weaving this piece in, I'm going to weave and overlap this one for 2. I know we normally do 4, but we're going to do this one for 2. And our other pattern would be coming this way with our diamonds. We'd have a cross here. This top one goes behind, remember, and then the bottom one you're going to have to work in that one, come around and reach it this way and pull it through. And then bring it back, bring it back in through the bottom here. And again, this piece is already here waiting for me, so we're going to make our cross, and you're going to feed them through again until you finish it. And you'll end with them. This one will be crossed here. I can get it to stay there. And this one would be fed into here, and that would be the ending of your diamond pattern. After you finish this part, then you're going to weave just everything that you've already done is going to be in reverse. So on top of here, we're going to have our 2 rows of 3/16. In the natural, we're going to have our 5 rows of the navy blue and 3 more rows of the twining. we're going to end up with, at the top, we're going to have our 3 rows of your number 2 round woven in the triple twine. Then I want you to do 3 more rows. So we're really going to have 6 rows up here. 3 of them are going to hide underneath of our rim. I'm going to bring this in here and show you real quickly how to end these. Of course, you've already done it down here. I have the lengths here. Let's just cut the lengths off. This one is going to, this is where I began the weaving, so I'm going to be over 3, and I'm just going to end these inside. Just like that. And we can trim them up in, inside and go back and do the trimming. Then we're going to come in here, and these are the spokes, the top of the spokes that we've already used for our reinforcements, and we're going to cut them off even right at the top of our twining here. Be very careful you do not cut off that center one. That long one, we want that one on, because that piece is going to go up and help create our braid. Just take a minute and trim the rest of these back. Again, I do not want to cut off that top one. Try to keep them flush. This one's a little long, so I'm just going to come back in and trim that back a little bit. You're going to need some good sharp pointed scissors to get in there. Okay, now we're ready to put on our rim. I've dyed this one navy blue. You're going to come in here with a sharp knife, and we're going to whittle this down about 2.5 inches. Now, when I whittled that off, you notice the dye did not penetrate in there, so we're going to be sure and cover that when we come back. We're going to put clothespins on. I like to start in the middle so I can have lots of room to make that overlap with. Be very careful that when you're working, you don't break the top of these spokes off. And it's best to wet them, and wet them quite often as you're working along this top, because it's better to take a minute and wet them and not break them. Okay, this is where I started my whittling. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to trim this back just a hair beyond where I started it so that that white won't show. Now we need to do our inside piece, and I have another piece of our navy blue here. We're going to whittle off this one. I've already done it. We've whittled it off. I did my overlap here. I'm going to come in here and start it on the opposite side. And be very careful when you're working in here, because we don't want to break any of these spokes off. And line it up here using the same clothespins that we already have. I won't have too many. Watch your corners. Make sure you come in here and fit your corners in snugly. Now, these pieces that I ended this top twining with, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to snip these off real quick because they'll lay flatter underneath my rim. Again, I've got a corner here. I want to make sure I fit that in there snug. Come around this way. There's a lot to handle with all these spokes sticking up. Make sure you keep them good and wet. And if you have to stop now and then to re-wet them, do so, because we don't want to break any off. Come back in here, and again we're going to trim that end in there. Fit it up tight against itself, and that's going to hide that white spot where we whittled off too. Take out your 1/4 inch bright red flat reed and put a point on it. Find your right side. Right side now faces the basket. I know we've done this before, but it never hurts to repeat it. Right side facing the basket. I'm coming from bottom up underneath that rim next to the basket and pull it up about 4 or 5 inches. And then circle it down, and it goes between the outside rim and basket, and pull it down. Now I'm going to come in here. I want 3 rows showing. So I'm going to open it up on top of my 3rd row, and I'm working that end back to the inside. I'm going to repeat this again, and this is how we lock it in. Pulling out that rim, pull everything tight, and again down to the outside. I'm going to leave this tail here. I'll go back and cut it off later. Bringing up my 1/4 inch from the inside. As I bring it across now, that's going to have my right side out. Find the opposite end and put a point on it so it'll travel easy. And I'm always going to be working on the top of my 3rd row, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do a couple of these for you so that you understand that you really have to cross on the top and in between each one of these spokes. And I think it's a nice contrast with the red on top of the blue here. Again, I've got on the top of the 3rd. I like to do a few and get this end started, then come back and pull this end in here. Pull it tight. Make sure you keep everything nice and straight. Give it a nice tight pull here. And another little trick that I like to do is to keep a clothespin on top of the one I just tightened so it doesn't loosen while I come back here and work on these. I'd bring this end and keep right on going. Finish your rim all the way around and end it the very same way that you started it. Now we're going to work on our border. I have this one up to that point. For time's sake, I went ahead and started my border already. This is called an arrow border. It's not very difficult to do. It's pretty easy, but it does, if you take it in steps, makes it a lot easier. This is the part where I have my lashing all done on here. Have my spokes sticking up. I'm going to take, starting anywhere, 1 spoke. I'm going in front of 2, behind 2, and out. Again, in front of 2, taking my next spoke, behind 2, and out. Kind of work this down as you go. One thing I did forget to tell you is to crimp. Take your needle nose pliers and come in here before you even start the braid. I forgot to tell you this. And crimp each one of them. That's so that when you bend them down, they won't break. And be sure and keep this all nice and wet, especially on this type of braid where we're making really tight turns when we get to the next step. You don't want to break anything off. Okay, again, I'm in front of 2, behind 2, and back to the outside. In front of 2, behind 2, and out. I'm going to finish working this braid. The reason I wanted to get this started a little bit for you so I can show you how to end it. I have 4 left. I'm still in front of 2. I only have 1 up here, so my second one I have to come in here. You can see there's a gap there and a hole left, and I'm going in that hole. Again, I'm going to take this one here, in front of 2. Now I have to be behind 2. My 2 are already laying down. There's a gap right there. That's the next hole I would go into. Now, on this one, I'm in front of this one. I have to go back in here. This is my second one. And I have to go under that one and through. Then I'm going to come around this way, and I will be behind 2 and back to the outside. My last one, I have to come in front of 2. Here's 1 and 2. They're already laying down. And go in there. Then I have to come behind 2. Here's 1 and here's 2. There's only 1 spot left that does not have a spoke coming out. And of course, that must be the one I go in. Okay. Now, the second step of this arrow border, you're going to start anywhere again. You're over 2. I've chosen here. I have 2 in my left hand. I'm going to be over them. There is a space right in here, and that's where I'm going to insert that end and pull it through. Pick up another one. My one here, I'm over 2 and in. Pick up another, over 2 and in. Okay, I'm going to pick up my pace a little bit, over 2 and in. Now as I do this one along, you can see this beautiful arrow border that I've created here. Isn't that pretty? Let's do just a couple more. There are 2 more steps left to this braid, but I'm going to have to get some done ahead so that I can show you those 2 steps. I'm going to speed up just a little bit. Over 2 and in next where that next to where that second one here is coming out. This is such a pretty border. It does look like arrows. We've also done in the past an arrow weave. That would be pretty to put those two together in a basket, the arrow border and the arrow weave. Let's do a couple more here so I have enough inside to show you those last two steps. If it should dry out while you're working on it, just be sure to either spray it or just take a minute to go dip it in a tub of water. Again, it's so important you don't let these dry out because they will crack and break. And if one would break on you, you'd have to undo the border and go back and insert a new piece in somewhere. Okay, we've probably got enough along here now. I want to show you those last two steps real quick here. Keep on doing. I hate to stop. I keep going on these. I just hate to stop. Okay. Now we're going to come in here, come back to here. The inside is two steps, and it's called a rolled border. I'm going to go over two. I've picked up any place in here. I picked up one. I have two in my other hand. I'm going over and down. Pick up another one, go over two and down. Pick up another one, over two and down. I'm kind of holding this so you can see it's a little easier to do than maybe what it looks like right here. Right, over two and down. I'm going to speed up a little bit so I can get a few of these done so I can go back and show you the second step. The second step is really the same step I'm doing here. It's just really a double roll border. And down. Okay, let me go back and put a clamp here. Come back here. If this was all finished all the way around, we'll assume that it is. We still have the lengths in here. So starting anywhere, pick up three again, pick up one, go over two and down. Add another one, go over two and down. Just keep repeating this all the way around. You can see I've got a little bit of a gap here. If I was doing this and taking a little bit more time at it, I'd be pulling all of this down and having everything tight. So go ahead and finish that border out, over two and down. It's a double rolled border. And then you can go back and do some trim work on your basket. You'll have some trim work that'll need to be done under here. You'll have some trim work inside your basket that needs to be done. Remember how we angle cut? We take our scissors and we come in here and we do some angle cuts. Don't cut it too short. Try to have the end of that resting on a spoke. If you get it cut too short, I'm afraid it's going to pop out. I'd rather have it be a little long. I probably wouldn't dye this one, or stain it rather. It's such pretty vibrant colors, I would leave it this color. And that's our American storage basket. I've really enjoyed working with you. This is our last program in this 13-week series. It's been wonderful working with you. I've enjoyed your letters and your phone calls and your wonderful comments and your encouraging words. I've enjoyed the tips and the ideas and the hints that you've sent to me, and I hope I've shared them with other viewers. I know that in basketry there's a lot to learn. I've got plenty to learn yet, and I'd like to continue to share that with you. And as we both learn, we can enjoy this beautiful art of basket weaving. Thank you.